Hey there! In this video I'll show you a cool product photography setup. It's pretty simple to build, but the photos look very eye-catching. First, we'll need some kind of container with raised edges. It should be black, it's very important. We didn't have one, so we decided to make our own. We took a piece of black acrylic and we bought a plastic tube. Honestly, I'm not even sure what it's originally used for, we just grabbed it at a hardware store. Using a hot glue gun, we attached the tube along the edges. We glued it on 3 sides since our surface is going to be slightly tilted and 3 sides were more than enough. That said, you can absolutely just use any large black container like a baking tray or something similar. The first light is placed behind the setup and fired through a white diffusion sheet. We're using a Godox flash with a standard reflector attached. In this example, I'm not using a grid on the reflector just to show you the difference. As you can see, without the grid there's very little contrast and the entire surface is flooded with light. That's why I add a honeycomb grid. It narrows the beam of light and gives us a much more interesting, controlled look. Here's a comparison of the setup with and without the grid. This light is positioned according to one of the fundamental laws of light: the angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection. In other words, the light coming from the flash needs to bounce off the surface of the water and reflect directly into the camera. The easiest way to find that angle is to turn on live view and watch your camera screen, smartphone or an external monitor while adjusting the light. As you move the light, look at the exact position and tilt that creates the reflection in the spot you need. To light the product itself, especially the label, I used a second light source. It's the same type of flash, also shooting through a white diffuser, but this time without a grid. You can use any kind of softbox here, it was just more convenient for me to use a diffuser. Overall, the result already looks pretty good, but the right side of the bottle falls into the shadow. So instead of adding another light, I simply used a white reflector and positioned it where I needed to gently lift the shadows. We've set up the lighting and of course we can make any fine-tuning adjustments later if needed. Now let's start shooting the bottle drop. First, we should add some water to our container, obviously. This next step is very important. The camera needs to be set to manual focus, otherwise it just won't work. Place the bottle roughly where you're planning to drop it and focus on the upper part of the bottle. When you drop it, it's going to bounce slightly and raise back up. If you focus too low, the bottle will end up out of focus during the most dynamic moment. Next, I lift the bottle with one hand, trying to position it as precisely as possible over the spot I focused on. I use one hand to drop the bottle and the other to press the shutter button on the camera, aiming to catch the perfect moment. I'll be honest, it doesn't work every time and you'll need to take a lot of shots to get something worth keeping. So it's actually pretty simple. The one really important thing is that for this kind of shot you need flashes with a short flash duration, the kind that can freeze motion. Otherwise the splashes will just be blurred. Usually these are either more expensive studio flashes or, on the other hand, you can use cheap on-camera speedlights. At low power they also have a short flash duration, but there are some downsides: no modeling light, lower output, etc. Still, if you want, it can be done this way too. One more thing, don't open the aperture too wide or nothing will be in focus. In this shoot I used f9 on a Lumix G9. But if you don't have a flash with a short duration, don't worry, you can still pull it off in a slightly different way. I placed the bottle in the water. The only thing I added underneath, I don't even remember exactly what, just something to keep the bottle from lying completely flat, so it was slightly tilted toward the camera. I didn't really change the lighting, the only adjustment was moving the backlight just a little to find a better position for the light spot on this scene. This is how it looks on its own. Not bad, right? The only thing I'll mention is that, of course, this isn't a finished commercial photo. I shot it just for a lesson in my free time using an old bottle, so it doesn't look perfect. Ideally, you'd do a bit of post-processing in Photoshop, but I think the main idea is clear. Next, I just started dripping water next to the bottle. Again, if your flashes don't have a short flash duration, some of the shots with the very fast movement of the falling drop might come out blurred. But the shots where the ripples spread across the water, even a budget flash can handle those and they still look really cool. Of course, using good flashes here is really convenient, not just because of the short flash duration, but also because they recycle so quickly. With them you can just start dripping water and shoot continuously like this. If your flashes don't recycle that quickly, no problem, you'll just have to time the shots more carefully. It's a bit less convenient and a little trickier, but the result will be the same. I tried dripping water in different ways. First, I just poured water from a jug, which gave these big drops and ripples on the surface. Then I switched to using a spray bottle, and that gave these tiny drops which look like rain, also pretty cool. Then I took a cloth, dipped it in water, and let a few drops fall at a time into our pool. That also gave a lot of really cool and interesting results. Honestly, I have to say, this shoot completely hooked me. You could spend hours doing this and end up with all sorts of unexpected and beautiful results. So I definitely recommend giving it a try. Wishing you great shots, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!